Coming up on the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast.
We're either afraid to be too much or too little. Everyone's afraid of success or failure, so we stay in this little box, right? So the people who have very high potential are afraid because they don't get along with people because they just make everyone insecure. So it's kind of like the tortured genius type of thing. But anyways, okay, so everyone has different potential. I'm never going to beat LeBron James at basketball no matter how hard I try. Okay, his potential in basketball is higher than me. Okay, so that's number one, potential. You have to own what your real potential is. My business partner, Kevin, natural bodybuilder. The dude's a mesomorph. He builds muscle faster than me. I'm an ectomorph. I have these giraffe legs. I'm supposed to be a marathoner. I just happen to want to be jacked, of course, because I was so skinny growing up. All right, so potential is number one. Number two is influences. And this is from the bottom up in the iceberg. Influences are not just the people you spend time with, although that's huge. It's what you let into your brain. So right now, my voice is influencing you, whether you're aware of it or not. If I'm in your earbuds or if I'm in your car or on YouTube, I'm influencing your choices right now. Be super careful with who you allow to speak into your life.
Hello, and welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. I'm Brian Grin, and I'm here to give you actionable tips to get your body back to what it once was 5, 10, even 15 years ago. Each week, I'll give you an in-depth interview with a health expert from around the world to cut through the fluff and get you long-term sustainable results. This week, I interviewed CEO of Next Level University, Alan Lazaros. We discussed his personal journey from adversity to success, along with his 7 fundamentals of optimal health, optimizing sleep quality for brain health and overall well-being, aligning your potential, influences, beliefs, values, skills, choices, behaviors, and habits to achieve desired results, using pain and leverage to break old habits and develop new ones, and his one tip to get your body back to what it once was. Really enjoyed my interview with Alan. I know you will too. Thanks so much for listening and enjoy the show. All right, welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin, and I have Alan Lazaros on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I always try to say this because I was on the other end of podcasts 9 years ago. That's when I first started listening to them. And they inspired me, they motivated me, they educated me, they helped me so much. And so now, 9 years later, being on other podcasts, I definitely don't take that lightly. Having the opportunity to speak into other people's lives, I think, is a big responsibility. And so thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. What do you like being on? What on? And do you like getting the questions asked or asking the questions?
I do enjoy both. I've done hundreds of interviews on my podcast. We actually stopped having guests probably around 800 because we have a holistic show. And what we found is we would interview guests about one thing and then it would leak into the other stuff. And we were misguiding our listeners because people who are an expert in one thing often think they're an expert in other things. And so we ended up just canning that. But I love both. The reason I love being asked questions, though, is number one, you get to serve, which I think is huge. Number two, I get to practice my craft of effective communication because I have a lot of stuff going on up here as a computer engineer, and I have a really hard time getting my brain to communicate with other people in a way where it lands for them. And so that's what I'm most excited about is learning, because I learn through conversation, and then also adding value and learning how to communicate answers to questions maybe I've never been asked.
Okay. Well, one question I do want to ask so people can sort of get to know you a little bit more is like your backstory. I know you have Next Level University right now. That's, I believe, your main focus, but sort of what led you to that, you know, to building that and you know, from where you started.
So I have a short version, I have a mid version, and I have a long version. Yeah. Which version do you think?
Well, why don't we go mid?
Mid. Okay. I will try my best. I tend to be long-winded.
Yeah.
The first thing to understand before I share, number one, it is important to know who you're talking to because I grew up without a dad and I've been looking for kind of unconsciously, I didn't know this until my 30s, but I've been unconsciously looking for a male role model my whole life. And I think paradoxically, I think I've ended up becoming the male role model that I really needed. And in some ways that was actually my dream. So I often joke, I'm 35. I'm hoping to hit puberty at 36. But my story starts in adversity for sure. And the thing I always clarify is it's kind of like rewatching a movie like you saw as a kid. And I used to listen to podcasts and I used to hear these people and they had their stories and they were so articulate and they understood it all. And now I've become one of those people. So I want to make it clear because I always wished it was clearer to me back then when I was listening. I didn't have this stuff figured out until later. This is, I understand this in hindsight. Whereas at the time I was just going through it and growing through it. So if it seems like I have it all figured out, it's like watching a movie you saw as a kid and the jokes, now you get them. I always use Finding Nemo as an example. I saw it when I was a little kid and then I saw it again as an adult and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, now I get it. All right, I get that. So it's kind of like that with my story. So anyways, okay. Started off in adversity. My father passed away in a car accident when he was 28 years old. I was 2 years old. I had an older sister who was 6. My mom was 31 at the time, and she was a stay-at-home mom. And I had a stepfather from age 3 to 14. So my stepfather's last name is actually Lazaros. My birth father's last name, my real last name, is actually McCorkle. So my birth father was part of an Irish Catholic big family. Jane, Joan, Jim, Joe, John, Jane, Joan, Jeanette. Six J's. Yeah, Irish Catholic big family, my mom and papa. And so when my stepfather came into the picture, we kind of didn't talk to my birth father's side of the family. And I never used to talk about this. I started doing therapy in my 30s and I started to reflect on all this and I kind of get it now. Whereas back then I never talked about this. I don't even think I knew that this is what happened. So again, hindsight's 2020. So we're not talking to my birth father's side of the family. My stepdad is around from 3 to 14. And I call that part of my life boats and BS. He had motorcycles and snowmobiles and we had a yacht, deep sea fishing and ski trips and vacations. And my mom and stepdad partied. They liked to party. They were big on fun, sort of hunting, fishing, all that kind of stuff. And my stepdad worked for a company called AGFA, and they did computers in hospitals during the 90s, during the dot-com bubble. So for anyone who remembers the 90s, it was very economic boom times. Everybody was winning in the 90s. And when he left my family, it was early 2000s. And when I was 14 years old, he left and he took 90% of the income with him. And my mom and my stepdad did not get along. And that's a polite way to put it. So things on the surface looked really good, but beneath the surface, not good. But I was Xbox Dreamcast, early Christmas presents. We did well financially. So I go from that to my dream was to go to WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute. It's like a mini MIT in Massachusetts. It's one of the best technical colleges in the world, but it's $50,000 a year. And I went from, I can't wait to try to get in to, even if I do get in, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go. Right. So I'm 14. Stepdad leaves, takes 90% of the income with him and takes his entire extended family with him. And I haven't seen any of them since. I have since talked to my stepdad on Facebook Messenger a little bit. Same time, my sister moves out with her older boyfriend. Same time, same year, my mom and her sister, my Aunt Sandy, get in a fight. Ostracizes us from that whole side of the family. Haven't seen any of them since either, except for one cousin. So didn't know this, but by the time I'm 14 years old, I kind of lost 3 families. Fortunately, my birth father's side took us back with welcome arms, but they were kind of it was like they were seeing a ghost because I looked just like my dad, John. And so I went from that to now I get free lunch at school because our income is so low. It's just me and my mom in this big house. My stepdad got the yacht and the apartment building. We got the house and the dog, and it was, how am I going to do this? Free lunch at school, shopping at Salvation Army, struggle bus financially. And I did the only thing I knew how to do, which is now my trauma response, I realize, which is aim higher, work harder, get smarter. And so fortunately, that was my trauma response. Get straight A's through high school, get something called the President's Award, which is signed by George Bush behind me. And you basically have to get straight A's, all report cards, all through high school. And at the award ceremony, I got a ton of scholarships and financial aid, which was awesome. So I got to go to school and I got into my dream college and I went to computer engineering and then I got my MBA. That was my dream. It was either going to be lawyer, politician, president, or it was going to be engineer, MBA, Fortune 50 CEO of a tech company, like my hero, Steve Jobs, my old hero, no longer my hero in many ways. So fast forward, I get my MBA, and now I'm off into corporate. And I went from broke college student to very well off very quickly. I worked for a bunch of different tech companies, iRobots, Inside Technologies, Oz Development, eventually landed at a company called Cognex. And I do inside sales engineering there. Then I get promoted to outside sales. Now I manage my own territory, and the checks are coming in. Paid off 84 grand worth of college debt in a single year, had 150 grand in an investment account in Vanguard with all ETFs and tech stocks, bought a lot of Cognex as well. And I'm doing well financially, but from the outside looking in, the part I haven't told you, and that's relevant to this podcast, is I wasn't taking my health seriously. I was nothing like I am now. I didn't have a physique. I was drinking too much and too often. High school friends, college friends, corporate friends. You're probably wondering, what's the long version of this thing?
But I was take out. I give you the mid.
Yeah. yeah, literally. So I'll get to the chase here, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to sum up 35 years in 35 minutes here.
Well, you're young, so I've had 70-year-olds on here, but yeah.
So I was everything for everyone, nothing for myself, doing really well financially, but successful from the outside in, but not from the inside out. And so then I get in my car accident. So when I'm 26 years old, I end up in my own car accident, end up on the wrong side of the road, thought it was a Mack truck, ended up being a lift-kitted pickup truck. And fortunately, the airbags deployed in a car, 2004 Volkswagen Passat. I used to call it the tank. This car definitely saved my life. And we were okay physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I usually show the car in my speeches because it's just absolutely smashed in. And that car definitely saved my life. Thank you, Volkswagen. German engineered steel trap of a car. But after that, I was just filled with regret. And I knew I was taking my health and fitness not seriously. I knew I was letting myself down. Did I live a life true to myself? I was just regret. Poor choice. Trauma I haven't dealt with. I never talked about my dad before 26. I never talked about any of this before 26, right? And so now I often say I used to be successful from the outside in. Now, fortunately, I'm fulfilled from the inside out. And that's really where I got into personal growth, personal development, and fitness.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
What would you say? I mean, obviously, being through all that, what would you say like the biggest takeaways or some of the things that you learned that you sort of apply now in your still young life of 35?
So the biggest takeaway is your choices. Your day-to-day, moment-to-moment choices. I had a drinking problem. It took me 5 years to quit drinking. I've now been sober for over 4, maybe 5 actually at this stage. But I didn't realize that I grew up in an environment that was a lot of alcohol, because when you're young, you don't know any different. Right. It's kind of just, my mom and stepdad's friends, they all party too. So you just, law of attraction, right? Like attracts like. So birds of a feather flock together. So my mom and stepdad like to party, so they go to parties. And then their friends like to party, so they go to parties. So it's just this whole, everything and everyone I knew to that stage drank, and I'm talking drank. So I adapted that habit without knowing it. And college, same deal. It wasn't until 26 when I really woke up from that. So the number one thing that I learned from all that is I just made really poor choices. And I don't think I made worse choices than most people. People always say, well, what do you mean? You ended up, you did well in high school and you had a good career. I'm not trying to beat myself up. If you were to look back at your past and be honest with yourself, like really candid, you made a lot of really poor choices. We all did. No one knows what they're doing in high school. No one knows. No teenager makes good choices. Like, I think it's important to, I don't want anyone to live in regret, but I think regret is the best teacher. And so you got to look back and rewatch the movie of your own life and say, honestly, I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. I grew up in an environment where I wasn't well guided, and I got to take responsibility for my own future. And I got to make better choices, whether it be fitness choices, like your podcast, Eat Clean, Get Lean, Eat Clean. Did I get that wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, when I first researched your podcast, I thought, yes, exactly. This is about making good choices. That's what all podcasts should be about. Of course, I'm biased, but if I had made better choices, my life would have been better. And I've proven that because I started making good choices after 9 years ago, and it's compounding into just such a more magnificent life. It's harder on the day to day, but it's more magnificent on the macro.
And what kind of choices did you make around fitness that sort of influenced you and created like a snowball effect?
The first thing was to just get to the place where I was proud of my own physique. I was the tall, skinny ectomorph, 160 pounds, skinny fat, just not very frail and very insecure about it. So the first thing was just getting exercise. That was like the main thing, weight training in particular. Back in 2014, I was watching I don't remember the exact name of it, with the Superman movie with Henry Cavill.
Okay.
The one where he gets out of the lake in this one scene. And I was at IMAX and I was with my buddy, and I was drinking at the time. And he got out of the lake, the character in the film, and he's jacked. I mean, just muscular as hell, healthy, the epitome of male health. Granted, he's Superman. I get it, right? Mm-hmm. But deep down inside me, I'm thinking I could be that one day, but I'm letting myself down. I really believed I could do it. And so after that scene, I actually went in the bathroom. I pretended to have to go to the bathroom. I didn't have to go to the bathroom. I actually cried in the mirror to myself, and I poured out my Mountain Dew with Captain Morgan in it. And I decided after that, I have to make changes. And I just started small, and I started lifting weights, and I started following fitness influencers, which now I realize is be careful, right? Yeah. And then I eventually became a fitness influencer, and I was a fitness coach, fitness competitor, fitness model. Actually, I've done 41 photo shoots in my skivvies, for lack of better phrasing. And I've done all kinds of coaching. I did mindset coaching, peak performance coaching, business consulting. Now I'm a business coach primarily. I have 23 people on my roster. My youngest client is 18. My oldest is 63. From all different countries, all different backgrounds. But at the end of the day, it all started with, how do I get weight training going? And then once that's locked in, how do I start my nutrition and my macros? Okay. Calories, macros, micronutrients. Okay. Then once that's locked in, okay, how do I get my hydration going? And so I created this framework called the 7 fundamentals of natural fitness, because the fitness industry, if you've studied it, is a lot of drugs, especially in the bodybuilding side, way more than anyone can fathom. I know a lot of these people. And I was always natural, like natural, no synthetic hormones, no steroids, none of that. So I have the pyramid of the 7 fundamentals, and this is the whole game, in my opinion. It's simple, but it's not sexy. And so the bottom of the pyramid is sleep. So I have an Oura ring. I track my sleep every single day. My score today was an 84.
Nice.
My girlfriend's score, and thank you. My girlfriend's score was a 90. So she slept in today. Yeah, I know. You have an Oura as well?
Well, I don't have an Oura ring, but I've done wearables. I've used them before. But I feel like my opinion on wearables is like, I feel like once you get a feel for them and you sort of know where you're at, I feel like you're your biggest, your best judge of whatever you're trying to optimize. But it's
just like tracking macros. Once you do it long enough, now you can intuitively do it. But until you do it long enough, you don't really know what's in what, right?
Right.
So sleep is number 1, bottom of the pyramid. So sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, mobility, breath work, and supplementation. Supplementation is the top of the pyramid because it's the smallest part. It's the least relevant. Until you have the other 6 dialed in, supplementation isn't going to help. Right. And so that's really what it is. I started with sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, mobility. And then when I say breath work, it's how you breathe. And then supplementation would be last. And I think most people start at the top and they go to supplements. And then you see these athletes that are selling supplements, and I get it. And some supplements are great. I have BCAAs in my water right now, right? So supplements aren't the problem. It's just that's the way that these athletes make money, and that's okay. I was the same. But just understand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've actually found that, being in health and wellness for like 20 years now almost, I've actually been less on the supplement end than I probably was early on. But I do think they can play a role. But I think there's also a lot of guessing out there. And I'm a big believer in like testing first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, basing a program off that.
Science is everything. The scientific method. Just everything's an experiment.
Right.
You experiment with a supplement. And here's the problem with experimentation. How long do you do it? Right? You try this new pre-workout and you get nauseous the first time. That doesn't mean you can it. You got to give it a couple more tries. If you get nauseous 4 or 5 times in a row and you don't get used to it, then maybe it goes. But I'm big on experimentation. I'm a big science guy. I call it STEMBIF: science, technology, engineering, mathematics, business, and finance. And the inner work for me was the problem, for anyone who can't tell. But after 26, I finally started doing the inner work stuff. And believe it or not, that was more beneficial than some of the outer stuff as well. So if you want to go into that, it's your call.
Well, I wanted to touch on, you talked about sleep. I talk about sleep a lot on this podcast, so people are probably sick of it. But I do think it's like the number one pillar that people should focus on and prioritize. What?
Yes. Yes.
I think and I also think it's probably the most neglected thing, especially when you're young, right? Like you feel like you don't need to, even though you're supposed to sleep more when you're young. I feel like I have nieces and nephews. I don't have kids, but their sleep habits are just not very good. What do you do to optimize, your sleep score for your aura?
Thank you for the question. And I'm all for the unsexy topics. I think that we all need to learn less shiny stuff and study more fundamentals. That's just my favorite thing in the world. So the way we have an acronym called MESAO, I'll go through them. So right before bed, Emilia and I, my beautiful girlfriend and I, we go through an acronym. It's a big one. So MASK is the first one, MM. So mask, meeting. When's your first meeting? So last night before bed, do you have your mask? Okay, I got mine. Sleep masks. Meeting. When's your meeting? Hers was 11. Mine was 10.
When's your first meeting the next day?
When's your first meeting the next day? Okay. Yeah, I actually canceled my 10 o'clock, so my first meeting was actually with you, 11.
Okay.
So mask, meeting, eyes, meaning did you take your contacts out? Okay. I've never shared this before publicly. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Yeah. Hey. The next is SS, which is Scooby Snacks, earplugs. We call them Scooby Snacks because our pets try to eat them.
Oh, yeah. I can relate.
And then the next one is alarm. So do we have an alarm set or not? AKA, don't set an early alarm. My first meeting doesn't start till 10 a.m. So I do 10 to 6 p.m. every day is my service. I call it my service window. And I let myself sleep as much as possible. Obviously, sometimes I need to set an alarm if there's like a special trip or meeting or whatever. Sure. But for the most part, I try not to ever set an alarm, which is a very much blessing at this stage of my life. It's not everyone can do that. I get it. The next is you, meaning are you here? Because she sleeps better when I'm there. The next is aura. Do you have your aura ring on? Oh, next is pillows. Do you have the right pillows? And then this is ridiculous. Next is score. What score are you going for? We literally set an intention last night before bed. I said 88. I only got an 84. She said 92 and she got a 90. And we screenshot our aura and we send it to each other each morning.
That's very cute.
What we're optimizing for is brain health. And the most important thing for brain health, bar none, is sleep.
Yeah.
And she used to have memory challenges, so I've really worked hard to protect her sleep because her brain neuroplasticity has gotten her memory's improved. I bought her a book called Memory Recovery when we first started dating, and it's unbelievable what's happened 5 years later. And then the last one is fan, and there's one more, temperature. What's the temperature? Like, did we set the temperature right? And then is the fan on? And we also have a deep sleep playlist that we use on our Alexa, which hopefully she doesn't go off. But yeah, so we do not mess around with sleep. And if you saw my girlfriend, she's the most radiant, healthy, fit, intelligent. It's unbelievable. But really, it's always the stuff behind the scenes no one sees. Like, I've never even shared that acronym before with anyone but me and her. But if you were to meet us on the street, you'd say, you guys look so healthy and vibrant. You might not say that, but you would think that. And trust me, I didn't always. I used to look like shit. Am I allowed to swear? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. My apologies. I used to look like.
Yeah, I've had worse said on this program.
Okay. Well, I want to be respectful. If you don't have an explicit show, my apologies.
No, it's all good.
But I used to look like crap, and I wasn't vibrant, and I was drinking too much, and I wasn't getting good sleep, and I was hungover, and I wasn't exercising, and I wasn't eating right, and my life sucked. I had a lot of money, but my life sucked. And so your well-being is your life. And that's why I was excited to come on the show, because I don't get to talk about fitness as much as I used to. And I adore it. I think physical fitness is the most important thing in the world. Would you rather have an unbelievably athletic physique that's vibrant and alive, or $1 million? And if you choose the $1 million, you're in trouble. That is a mistake. And what's ironic is if you have a vibrant, physical, wonderful, energetic, fitness, structured, oriented regiment towards your physique, you probably will end up a millionaire, just because the habits for fitness are the habits for business. And so you see these business owners that burn themselves to the ground, like Steve Jobs, to build these $1 billion companies, but then he dies at 57 because he never took good care of his health. Now, I obviously know he didn't die for that exact reason, but if you look at the guy, you know he never took care of his health. And I've studied his background. I never used to share this stuff, but I used to take a look. I used to see, like, you never exercised consistently. You never weight trained, right? And so, of course, that played a factor. We all know health and exercise increase our longevity, and it's awesome. And I think it's the most important thing in the world. Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming that the CEOs and the individuals that you're working with now, that is part of like your program with them. I would assume, since you're coaching them, that making health a priority is going to, affect everything else. So you might as well, right?
100%. Yeah. I have one guy I work with in finance. His name is Bradley, and we have him tracking habits. And his very first habit is 30 minutes of exercise. He never misses. And he used to. Before we coached together, we've coached for years now, but he missed. And that's the cool thing too about being a coach, is you have all the accountability, because how dare I tell you to exercise when I'm not?
Right.
Yeah. So being a coach is actually a great cheat code.
Yeah. Right. I do find you talk with clients, it sort of reinforces habits for yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
My favorite part of it.
I actually had on my show Marcus Collius. Do you know Marcus? You feel like you guys would get along.
I might recognize him. I don't know.
You might. Yeah, he does. He works with high level, performing entrepreneurs, and he's worked with alongside like Anthony Robbins, and
nice.
He was like, if you hit this, he's like, if you hit the snooze, you lose. Like, because like if like he was saying, if you do set an alarm, you should just get up when it tells you to get up, because if you're hitting the snooze, you're sort of giving yourself permission to like put it off, and then that sort of sets the tone for the day. I thought that was a good, cool.
All about keeping the small promises to yourself. That's exactly what that is. You promised yourself you'd get up, and then you don't. What does that do to your self-esteem and your self-belief and your self-worth? Self-esteem is built behind the scenes. I used to try to, otherwise it's ego. I used to try to fake self-esteem. It was all fake, and it was ego. Yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, before we got on, we talked about you were talking about the results based, like,
iceberg.
Yeah, the iceberg.
The iceberg. Yeah, so I'm so grateful that you brought that up. I created this 2 days ago, but it's not necessarily a fully new concept. I think it's new in the way that I ordered it.
Okay.
So imagine an iceberg, and I'm going to have to close my eyes for this so I remember it all. One time someone asked me, do you have photographic memory? And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, close your eyes. I was like, they're like, can you see the whiteboard? I was like, yep. They're like, that's a photographic memory. Oh, cool. Talk a big game. Now let's see if you can remember. All right. So there's a picture of an iceberg, and only the tiny tip of the iceberg is showing above the surface. And that says results. All right. Now I'm going to start from the very bottom of the iceberg and work my way up. So we're going to go all the way to the depths, the very bottom of the iceberg. Okay. The very bottom is potential. This one, I'm going to unpack them each one by one. Potential, I used to want to believe everyone had the same potential. Some of us are very gifted. I think everyone's gifted at something, but some of us are really gifted at a lot of stuff. If you're scared to be gifted, you are. If you're scared not to be gifted, you might not be. For me, I was always scared that I was gifted, and I know that I am. And I've never been able to share that until like therapy in my 30s. We're either afraid to be too much or too little. Everyone's afraid of success or failure, so we stay in this little box, right? So the people who have very high potential are afraid because they don't get along with people because they just make everyone insecure. So it's kind of like the tortured genius type of thing. But anyways, okay, so everyone has different potential. I'm never going to beat LeBron James at basketball no matter how hard I try. Okay, his potential in basketball is higher than me. Okay, so that's number one, potential. You have to own what your real potential is. My business partner, Kevin, natural bodybuilder. The dude's a mesomorph. He builds muscle faster than me. I'm an ectomorph. I have these giraffe legs. I'm supposed to be a marathoner. I just happen to want to be jacked, of course, because I was so skinny growing up. All right, so potential is number one. Number two is influences. And this is from the bottom up in the iceberg. Influences are not just the people you spend time with, although that's huge. It's what you let into your brain. So right now, my voice is influencing you, whether you're aware of it or not. If I'm in your earbuds or if I'm in your car or on YouTube, I'm influencing your choices right now. Be super careful with who you allow to speak into your life. So influence is number two. Number three above that is beliefs. Based on your potential, which is your gifting, and your influences, you're going to have beliefs. I had some really messed up beliefs where I grew up. It wasn't until after 26 I started to unpack some of that stuff and go, are these limiting beliefs? Are these empowering beliefs? What are my beliefs? What are my values? What do I believe? Okay. After that, it's values. All right. So far you've got potential, influences, beliefs, and values. Here's the problem. We want results, but they're outside of alignment with our core values. If you have a core value of cooking and eating big meals with your family, you will never have an 8-pack. It's okay. Having an 8-pack, I've done it, is the worst thing ever. It's awful. It's so bad, it's unfathomably bad how hard it is to keep that. I did a fitness show. I did 3 fitness shows. I was cocky in the first one, lost, humble in the second one from the loss, and I won my overall. I won the whole thing. And I had an 8-pack, and I was fearful, scarce, hungry 24/7. It was awful. And then the third one, I lost again because I got cocky from the second one. The point is I've been ripped out of my mind, really low, sub 10% body fat, super scarce, freaking out. And I've also been no abs at all. And I'm telling you right now, if you have a core value of barbecues and fun and enjoyment and going to the movies and eating snacks and family and barbecue, like, you're not going to be ripped. Just give yourself permission to not be ripped. Okay. So you need the right potential, the right influences, the right beliefs, the right values. Next is skills. Weight training is a skill. HIIT training is a skill. CrossFit is a skill. Jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai are skills. Marathons, triathletes, it's all skill development. Basketball, football, soccer. Okay, skills. Then you have choices. After that, it's your day-to-day, moment-to-moment choices. So I had a choice to can this or show up. I have a choice today to work out or not. I have a choice to do my protein shake in the morning or not. Every single moment-to-moment choice. That moment when you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I don't want to stretch. I don't want to stretch again. How boring is stretching? Most boring thing ever. Hate it. Do it anyway. I think it's empowering. You're never going to want to work out. Just do it anyway. Okay. And then after that's behaviors, just like tasks. Like, I got to get a gym membership. I got to get a personal trainer. I got to, and then you've got habits. That's where you lock it in. Habits. But you don't create habits until all the other ones are aligned. Mm-hmm. And so big if, people used to come to me and they'd say, I want, how do I get a 6-pack? And I would assume they were going to do all those things. And I'd just tell them how to do it. And then they would never do it. And I'd be like, why aren't you doing it? I don't get it. Oh, if you want an 8-pack, you have to align your potential. Do you even have the potential to have an 8-pack? Maybe you have a 6-pack under there, right? We don't all have 8-packs. Okay. So you have to align every time you want a result in life, everybody. Every time you want a result in life, you have to want every sacrifice that comes with it. People say, I want a business like you. I say, no, you don't. I have a 21-person team and they're global, and I have headaches that you do not want, and that's okay. But you can't want the results I have and not all the sacrifices underneath it. Okay? So picture a result. Let's say you want to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. You need to see if you have the potential to do it. Most likely you do. What are your influences? Are they healthy and fit? Okay. What are your belief systems? Do you believe you can do it? Do you believe you can do it while eating junk? Right? There's a misbelief. What are your values? Is it conflicting with your values of spending time with your family? Okay. Then what are your skills? Do you have the skills? Is it CrossFit, kayaking, boating? What are you doing? Okay. Then you have to align your choices every single day. Behaviors, tasks, trainer, get a trainer, whatever, and then habits, locking in the habits. And locking in habits is the hardest thing ever. And it's not just about locking in habits. It's also about getting rid of the habits that are blocking you. If you have a habit of drinking alcohol every day and you want an 8-pack, forget it. Absolutely forget it. It's just not congruent. And so the only way to achieve goals is alignment and congruence. And unfortunately, all the things we want as a result are outside of alignment with most of the stuff we actually do, say, think, feel, and believe beneath the surface. And so hopefully that iceberg is. So whenever I coach someone, I go right to that iceberg and I say, listen, you want to be a billionaire? That's great. But do you want all of what comes with that beneath the surface that no one else is going to see? And by the way, most billionaires end up divorced, and it's for a reason. So just be careful.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I love that, because I think from the outside, especially like with social media, you just see results, right? You don't see what it took to actually get to that. And sometimes on social media, these results could be necessarily not true, but either way.
Photoshop results.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. What would you say, like to develop a new habit is like a topic that comes up a lot, because people have old habits don't necessarily go away so quick. How do you think an individual, whether it's health or business, can start developing these new habits sooner rather than later? Because even though they've been doing something for 30, 40 years, how are they going to actually get to where they want to go, without all sort of, everything else in line?
Yeah. So I'll use an example that one of the hardest habits I've ever had to break was drinking alcohol. And I think the reason underneath it was everything that was attached to it. So all my friends drank. We would go to weddings, we'd drink. Am I going to drink at my own wedding? And not to mention my personality is very intense. So you have to know yourself in habit breaking as well. Like I dial everything up to 11. Everyone can tell. I don't have like another gear. This is my actual energy. I'm also a computer engineer, so I'm very direct. So please don't.
Oh, you've been fine.
Okay. I appreciate
we like
it.
Direct.
All right. I like it. Good.
Yeah.
I've been very villainized in the past for telling hard truths very directly, but I actually care. I want to see you win. So to break a habit, what I had to do was I had to replace it with something I cared about more. And I had to use pain to my advantage. So the pain of not drinking, became less than the pain of being out of shape. And the reason why is because I changed my associations. So I started hanging out with Matt, Nate, and Kevin, my business partner, Kevin. They're all bodybuilders. They were all in great shape. I mean, ridiculous shape, like freak of nature shape. Okay. My max is Matt's warm up. So he's doing right. That kind of thing. So I just put myself in the arena where if I drink at all, I'm screwed. I can't hang with these guys. Right. And so they can drink all they want and still crush me in this, because this is their arena. And so I kind of got it to be more painful to drink than not to drink. And that's what you have to do. You get leverage on yourself. I do this all the time with my clients. We call it a commitment device. What I say is, I'm going to charge you double for this session. And if you don't track your habits and exercise every day until our next session, you never get your money back. I've done this dozens of times. No one has ever failed.
I like that.
We will do more to avoid pain than we will to gain a six-pack. It's human nature. It's called loss aversion. You'll do more to make sure no one steals from you than you will, even though there's $1,000 at that next client that you're not prospecting. We are very much wired to avoid pain at all costs. So you have to put yourself in the pressure cooker of making it more painful. Two types of people. One person says, I want to run every day for my good health. That person's not going to run every day. Other person signs up for a half marathon in 90 days, invites all their friends and family and their spouse. They're going to run every single day because they don't want to let the team down. And so I'm very grateful. I don't want to let my clients down. I don't want to let my NLU team down. I am responsible indirectly for the success of 42 people, 43 people now. I don't want to let them down. So now I have all the accountability. How dare I tell you to exercise when I'm not exercising? So you have to create these feedback loops of pain, micro pain for macro success versus the pain that's going to come from regret later when you let yourself down.
Yeah, that's a great point. And to your point, like booking a marathon or booking a competition can really put people into action because they don't want to go into that like feeling like they are embarrassed or they didn't succeed at it. And that can really push them to do it.
100%. When I did fitness competitions, the last thing you want to do is show up on stage out of shape and get laughed off stage. Unfortunately, I did that 2 out of 3 times. No, I wasn't that out of shape. I think I came in 4th and then 3rd, but I thought I would win. I was delusional, but I did win my second one. The irony on that is I thought that was the one I was going to lose. So I was playing scared and actually humble. So I actually won that one. Whereas the other ones I thought I'd win and I lost. That's a paradox, but you've got to put yourself at risk, and not so much risk that you crumble under the pressure. Because if you say, I'm going to do a marathon in 10 days, you're screwed because you haven't trained. And I did that on a whim. I did a full marathon in 3 days notice, dehydrated. I was trying to make weight. It was a whole story, but the half marathon was actually pretty easy. The full marathon was awful. I lost 6 pounds in one marathon. And I was crawling metaphorically. I was running, but barely across the finish line. It was horrible. But the point I'm making is you can't put yourself in so much pressure that you buckle, but you have to have enough pressure where you're accountable.
Yeah, makes sense. I always say, if you have a kid and you don't want him to do something, I don't know. Like, for example, like I was exposed early on. I think I've had one cigarette in my whole life. Okay. And I was a freshman in high school. I'll never forget it. And I got sick, like dizzy, like just nauseous. That was it. Never touched it again.
That's the end. That's the end. I wish I had gotten sick. My first clove. Back in my day, it was cloves. Okay. So cool.
Yeah. So sometimes when you sort of shock yourself or you have such a bad experience, you just don't want to do it again.
100%. I had sushi and I got sick. And I don't even know if it was linked to the sushi, but I love sushi. It's like my favorite food in the world. I haven't even had it since. I just have this aversion now.
Right.
And so sometimes you can do that to yourself, but that takes a lot of guts. And a lot of people make fun of you because they think you're masochistic. But honestly, you got to look at their lives, right? You got to look. It would be nice for me to say getting fit is easy. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Getting fit and staying fit is the hardest thing ever. It's unreasonable. That's why no one does it. 80% of Americans are overweight, but yet everyone's talking. You got to get back to like the truth. I'm very big on the truth. I've been very much a social coward in my life and I'm done with it. I just want to tell the truth. Being fit is ridiculously difficult. That's why half these influencers are on drugs and still photoshopping their stuff. Yeah. No one isn't insecure on the beach. I don't care who you are. I was in the best shape ever. I won a fitness show and I still had some insecurities, right? My calves are a little not that okay. So you're not alone. You're so not alone. It's not even funny. I coach so many people. There's not a single one of them that isn't insecure behind the scenes. They just hide their insecurities publicly because people are bullies. right? So you're not alone. And if you do the simple things that are hard to do and you're consistent with them, you'll have great results and you'll build self-esteem, but there's no shortcuts. Shortcuts are for the birds.
Love that. Yeah, this is great, Alan. I asked this question to everyone that comes on. What one tip would you give an individual who's looking to maybe get their body or their minds back to what it once was like 10, 15 years ago?
You know, I love the question. I get that question, not that question specifically, but I get a question often, like if you could give yourself one piece of advice. And I love it. I think it's a good question. I'm not against that question. I used to ask that question, in fact. But the answer is hard because there's so many. But if I had to give one, it's the unsexy one. I've been habit tracking for 9 years. I used to carry around these little black notebooks. They're actually over here in the corner of my office. And now we use Google Sheets, and I track all my habits of all my clients, and my whole team tracks habits now. And I've been tracking habits for 9 years, and it's kind of a meta habit because it's a habit about habits.
Right.
But if you were to, I always say you have to take something away before you know its value. It's like if you work out with AirPods and then you forget your AirPods, you're like, oh, this is the worst. Now you know the value of the AirPods, right? Now you know why you spent $250 on those things.
It's funny you say that because I'm like, I don't know if it's old school, but I don't wear earbuds when I work out. I just don't do it, but everyone else does. So it's like everyone else is in their own world, and then I'm in my own world because no one else is going to talk to me. So it's like it's sort of doing. Yeah. Anyways, but
that's funny. Yeah, you don't need earbuds because everyone else is in theirs. Yeah, it's
exactly.
funny. The only place I don't like to talk is the gym. You know, Emilia and I do sign language. What number? How many sets? Yeah, down, up, down. We literally don't talk, but we work out together every single day. We do cardio every other day and then weight training every other day. We're actually, I used to not share this because it's ridiculous and people think you're arrogant, but so we haven't missed a day in 2.5 years. Yeah, so we've been tracking. We started a little fit challenge way back. But again, back to the original question, habit tracking. Habit tracking, just what's the one keystone habit, the one habit that you've never been able to conquer? For me in 2023, it was writing. I couldn't write to save my life. I would do it for a week and then fall off. I'd do it for 3 days and then fall off. I'd do it for 2 days and then fall off. And in 2024, I said, I'm writing. This is the year of writing. I'm going to go a whole effing year and I'm not missing. And I said it to all my team. I said it to Emilia, and I haven't missed yet in 2024. Mm-hmm. And it's 20 minutes a day. It's not 2 hours. There's no way you can sustain that. And even the exercise thing, it's only a half hour. I've tried more than a half hour.
What are you writing for? Are you writing a book or?
Yeah. Okay. So I have a blog on my LinkedIn. There's 17 blogs. It's articles, and I'm eventually going to combine those into a book. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. It's helping me communicate more effectively because my engineering brain is mathematical focused and it's hard for me to communicate. I
wrote a book, the Stepladder System. I wrote a kid's book years ago, 2017. I wrote a kid's book.
Nice.
That was really easy because, but it was fun. That was more like healthy habits for kids. And actually you had my nieces and nephews as characters in the book, which was
good
really
for
cool.
you.
Yeah, it was fun. I always say, if you just want to feel like LeBron James for like a year, just write like a kid's book and then just go sign it at elementary schools, and you'll feel like you're like an all-star of
nice.
Anyways, and then I wrote an adult book on healthy habits and fitness called the Stepladder System. But I will say it was my ideas, but I did get help with that. I helped with like a ghostwriter just to help me.
Yeah, I have an editor.
Take those words and put it on paper. But
good for you. Good for you. Yeah. It's a hell of a thing. I'm writing it all myself, but my editor Jerry Ann is helping me. We call her the grammar goddess.
Okay.
She knows the grammar really well. Apparently, you're supposed to write out. So like 1 through 10, you have to actually write it out. But anything above 10, you can do the number. For me as a computer engineer, I would just use the numbers.
Okay.
So in my blog, from 0 to 10, she's like, well, you got to do 0 to 10 and actually write it out. It's weird. But anyways, to answer your original question, one tip, habit tracking. I don't care if it's 1 habit, 3 habits, 6 habits. I'm actually doing 22 habits a day. I don't recommend starting there. I started out very small. and I just let it grow. And
do you have a tool that you use?
I use Google Sheets. We also have an app.
Okay.
We have an app at NLU. It's called Optimal.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's called Optimal. People can reach out if they want the app. It's free. There's a paid version, obviously, but I think up to 12 habits is free.
Optimal?
It's called Optimal. OPT. Yeah, Optimal. I think I read you had the word optimal in your description on your podcast.
Yeah, I like that. So just start tracking, start small, and you just check off the boxes every day.
Check. And we do 0, 0.5, and 1. So red, yellow, green. On the app, let's say it's 30 minutes of exercise. If you do none of it, you get red. If you do 15 minutes, you get yellow. If you do a half an hour, you get green.
Okay.
And if you do Google Sheets, I can send you a Google Sheet tracker too if you want. And there's something called TPO, total productive output, aka it's just a percentage. Here's what you said you were going to do. You did 80% of what you said you were going to do. And a lot of people, they freak out with that. 80% of a well-designed day is better than 100% of an undesigned one.
Right.
So you got to overcome this failure bias, this whole, 80 is a B, that's not good. No, not with habit tracking. 80% of your habits is good. And not only do you improve your execution of the habits, but you also improve the system. So you're improving the improvements. Now you're compounding the compounding. And I'm telling you, you won't even recognize yourself 5, 10, 15 years later.
Love that. So where's the best place for people to find you, Alan?
So we have a website called nextleveluniverse.com. That's universe, not university, because our podcast is actually Next Level University. Mm-hmm. That's everywhere. You find that anywhere. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Those are the only 3 I use, I think, at this stage. You can email me, Alan, ALAN, at nextleveluniverse.com. If any of this intrigued you, you want accountability, you want coaching, you want habit tracking, you want to do any of that stuff, let me know. And just please provide context because like all of us, I get a lot of spam.
Yeah. Okay. I'm checking out your website now and your app. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Love it. Well, Alan, this was great. Tons of great tips. And I'm glad to have you on. And I'll definitely put links in the show notes for everybody to find Alan and seek out assistance because we all could use assistance in coaching. And thanks for coming on the podcast.
Brian, thank you for having me. This has been awesome. Breath of fresh air. You're very clearly a humble dude who's putting in work. I appreciate it. Keep inspiring, keep motivating. I think the world needs more of this. As a kid, if I had a podcast like this, things would have been a lot different. You know what I mean? So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. I understand there are millions of other podcasts out there and you've chosen to listen to mine, and I appreciate that. Check out the show notes at briangrin.com for everything that was mentioned in this episode. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend or family member that's looking to get their body back to what it once was. Thanks again and have a great day.